In this video, we're going to learn how to pass an entire struct as a function parameter. So we're going to actually pass the entire struct object, like this one or this one, the whole entire thing into a function as a parameter. Now, pay attention that right now we have two instances of the pizza struct. We have pizza1 and pizza2. What we're going to do is we're going to create a function that allows us to compare these two pizzas to each other. And in this particular example, we're going to compare the types of crust to see if the pizzas have the same crust or if they have different crusts. So just to give a quick analogy to compare to something we've done in the past, we've done things like a function to maybe add two numbers together. And we create a function. We'd add a return type, let's say double, and we would pass in two numbers. So we would have num1, which is going to be the first double, and then we would have num2, which would be the second double, like so. And then we would just return whatever the sum of num1 and num2 is. So what we're going to do now is instead of passing a double and a second double, we're going to pass a pizza and a second pizza into a function. So in other words, instead of passing in a double, we'll pass in a pizza data type and then another pizza data type, like so. Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll just call this function compare crusts. And I'll just, instead of num1 and num2, we'll do p1 and p2 to make it a bit more intuitive for the naming scheme. And I'm going to delete that for right now. I'm also going to go ahead and create a function call just to get started. So compare crusts. And so again, we're going to pass in our two pizzas. Remember, we have two pizzas created. We have pizza1 and we have pizza2. So let's go ahead and go pizza1 and pizza2. So what we're doing there is right here, we are passing in all of this information. Everything that belongs to the pizza1 instance is going to be passed in right here. So we're going to include slices, radius, crust type, sauce type, and even the calculated property of an area. These are all going to be passed in right here. Every property of the entire pizza1 instance gets passed in right there. And same thing with pizza2. Everything, slices, radius, crust type, sauce type, all that stuff gets passed into the function right here. So we're putting two complete objects and we're pasting them or sending them inside this function right here. And you can refer to pizza1 inside the function as p1. And you can refer to pizza2 inside the function as p2. Okay, so what we'll do here, let me just show you a quick demo. Let's go ahead and delete this return statement. Just for right now, we'll be adding a return statement later on, but just for now. You can go ahead, remember outside of the function, like you can refer to a property of pizza1 or pizza2. You can refer to a property like this, so it's like maybe pizza1.crust type, like so. Well, you can do the exact same thing inside this function right here. Except instead of referring to it as pizza1.crust type, you'll refer to it as p1.crust type, because that's the variable we decided to give the object or the instance while it's inside the function. So p1.crust type inside the function refers to the exact same thing as pizza1.crust type outside of the function. And same thing with p2, p2.crust type, like so. So this is thin and this is thin. Unfortunately, this takes a little time to run. I've actually restarted Playgrounds twice in this video because it's been taking so long to run. You haven't noticed because I stopped the video when I was restarting the Playgrounds. But anyway, so that's how you can reference a property of your struct while you are inside your function. And then we can go ahead and, if we want to compare these two crust types, all we have to do is do a regular comparison operator like so. And as you can see, the result of this operator is true. So yes, these two crust types are equal because they are both thin crust. So what you can do now is, since the purpose of this function is to compare crust types, what you can do is either you can set up an if-else statement to output a different message based on whether or not the crusts are equivalent, or you can just return straight up. So I misspelled return. There we go. Yeah. And give it a return type up here. We'll have to make it a Boolean return type because remember this right here, this evaluates to be true, and true is a Boolean data type, so we are going to be returning a Boolean data type. So you have to make sure that the data type here is a Boolean, right? The return statement, or the return type. And as you can see, this particular function call, it gives us the result of true because we returned a true Boolean data type. So that's one way you can use a function. This is how you pass in your structs into your function like so, and then you can do whatever you want with your structs. You just access the properties and then compare them or whatever you want. If you want a slightly more informative return statement though, what you could do instead is something like return a string, and what you'll do is create a couple of if statements where if, and I'm gonna go ahead and copy paste this in. If they're equal, then you'll return a string that says these are the same crusts. And then else return these are not the same crusts. Like so. And let's go ahead and print this out. And there we go. These are the same crusts. And of course, if we decide to do something else, let's say instead of doing thin crust, we have regular, we'll get a different result. We'll say these are not the same crusts because this equivalency, or this comparison operator or statement ends up being false, and we end up returning this statement instead. So hopefully you remember how if-else statements work. If you don't, then please review my earlier video about if-else statements. But that is this in a nutshell. This is just how you, again, you pass an entire couple of structs into a function, and then you do some kind of a comparison on that struct. Now, I'm going to do one more example. If you think you understand this concept nicely, then you can end the video now. But I'm going to do one more example, but instead of comparing crust type, we're going to compare the size of the pizza to see which pizza is larger than the other. So that's all we're going to do. If you don't want to watch that, then go ahead and exit the video. But if you want to see this last example, then keep watching. Okay, so what we're going to do is another regular if-else statement. So if p1 dot area, if that is greater than p2 dot area, then what we'll do is return a statement that says pizza 1 is larger than pizza 2. And then else will return pizza 2 is larger than pizza 1. In fact, I'll go ahead and update the name of this function to make it more intuitive. Instead, we'll do compare areas, just to make it more sensible, like so. And wait for it to process. I may have to restart Playgrounds again. Yeah, I'm going to restart. 1 second. Alright, we're back. And in fact, pizza 1 is larger than pizza 2 because the radius of pizza 1, which is that right there, the radius is 7, which gives an area of, I don't know what it is, but it's, whatever, it's larger. And that's compared to pizza 2, which has a smaller radius, which means overall it's smaller. So yeah, that's what happens if this turns into 8 instead. That'll give us pizza 2 is larger than pizza 1. So again, just a quick overview of how to pass structs into a function, and then perform some kind of check on it, and then output results based on the outcome of that check. Hopefully this video has been useful, and I will see you in the next video where we will begin talking about creating a method inside a struct. So this will be basically a function that exists inside the struct. And in fact, we're going to replicate what we're doing out here, but we're going to do it inside the struct. So I will see you then.